Hi folks, it's Mr. Slaybaugh here, and I'm here to teach you some one-handed warm-ups that you can use every day to get you a little bit stronger, a little bit more confident in your playing, teach you really good technique, and they're easy and fun. So let's get started on it, shall we? This is the first lesson, and this is going to talk about one-handed warm-ups. The first thing we're going to do is a review on good technique because it helps reinforce the technique. Divide the stick into 3 equal portions, and on the division between the second and third portion, the one towards the butt, put your thumb on that and wrap your first finger around it so it creates a hinge. The fancy word for that is called fulcrum. And then you're going to take your fingers and you're just going to wrap them around the stick. Now the stick is allowed to move here between the stick and your palm, but it's never allowed to move between your fingers and will never slap, ever. It just follows along as you're turning your wrist and it's following along. And it allows you to control the response of the stick. Look what happens when I take my fingers off. Kind of bounces back real rapidly. But if I keep my fingers on it, and I don't need to tighten down on them, the stick doesn't bounce back. We'll do the same thing with the left hand. 3 equal portions. Then second thing to remember is we always have a slight downward angle to the drum surface. I'm using a drum pad. I recommend you do so. If you don't have a drum pad, you can play on a snare drum, but you can also play on a piece of carpet, on a table, or you could play on a drum pad that maybe was built for the top of your snare drum, and you could put it onto a tabletop that's at the right height, and that'll work just as well. Let's get started. So this one-handed exercise is about creating what's called a pendulum action, a non-stop movement that has the same height up as it does down. And the reason for that is our quality of sound is going to sound much better than if we try to ram something down like this. Or if we try to whip something like this. Plus, we're going to be able to control the stick because we're not hurting our hands in the process of playing this high. We're just holding onto the stick and following along. And the fingers are following along as well. So it makes it more comfortable. It makes it easier to play. It makes you be able to play faster and more comfortably. And really what we start is this is called a pyramid exercise. So we start large and we get smaller, or a lot of one particular exercise and we get smaller. And then like we're going up one side of a pyramid, and then we're going to come down that pyramid again and get larger again. And so it's just a nice way to keep our head engaged as we're doing something repetitive. And this one starts very simply with 8 strokes on the right hand and 8 strokes on the left hand. Then we'll do 7 and 7, 6 and 6, 5 and 5, 4 and 4, 3. Now we're at the top of the pyramid on 3, so 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, stop. Okay? Now notice the stick's going to go to the same height every time. And when I'm not playing on the last note, I'm not going to accent it. I'm just going to play and stop. And I'm going to hold that stick in playing position so it's ready for action. And in doing so, that's going to be these 2 fingers right here. They're going to stay in touch with the stick. And for my hand, because it's a little bit bigger than some of yours, I'm going to actually feel my palm, especially with this finger right here, the ring finger. I'm going to feel the palm. And that's just going to remind me that I'm at a downward position, ready for action, but I'm not holding on super tight. I'm not slamming the stick into the surface. So it sounds good. And that's the most important thing. Good technique, sounding good, and keeping it consistent. So let's try this together. I'll count one time through with you. Here we go. We're going to start it slow. 1, 2, and 1 and 2, and ready is now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 7, 8, stop. A couple things to be aware of. Had my fingers on the stick the whole time. Turned my wrist, I was smooth and even. And it's like waving. I just kept that motion going. And at no point in time did I ever turn my thumbs upward. Because what would that do? That would change the motion from straight up and down, which is much easier than sideways like this. And notice how my elbow wants to get into it. I want small muscle groups to be working, because when it comes time to play these together in fast repetitive passages, I don't have to work so hard as opposed to doing this. See how the technique doesn't quite work? Okay. So now let's try it a little bit faster together. Okay, here we go. I won't count this time because it's a little fast. 1, 2, and 1 and 2, and ready is now. Now I did count up here in my head, I just didn't say it out loud, okay? Now the goal, do it slow so you can have good proper motion, do it consistently with good technique, and then gradually build it so it's a little bit faster. It never needs to get crazy fast. It's more about developing good technique, and also it'll help you to develop some stamina as well. I hope this has been helpful. Oh, by the way, do this exercise every day. 5 minutes. What's 5 minutes of drumming? A good time. Have a good time with it, guys. I look forward to seeing you in another lesson soon.